Political turmoil deepens. Danielle Smith triggers election crisis after Carney's troubling exposure. On June 23rd, three Alberta ridings, Edmonton-Strathcona, Edmonton-Ellerslie, and Olds-Didsbury-Three Hills, will hold by-elections that have become a focal point in Canada's political landscape. Premier Danielle Smith's decision to call these votes comes at a time of increasing public concern over electoral fairness and accountability. These elections are not just routine, they are perceived as a response to a growing discontent with the federal government, particularly in light of recent controversies surrounding election recounts and ballot disqualifications. The political climate has been further charged by a recent election in Quebec, where a single vote determined the outcome in a tightly contested race. This pivotal vote, which would have gone to the Bloc Québécois, was disqualified due to a minor technicality, marked inside a rectangle instead of a checkbox, leading to questions about the role of judicial discretion in electoral results. This incident has ignited outrage among voters and raised significant concerns regarding the transparency and fairness of Canada's electoral processes. Skepticism about Elections Canada's ability to manage close contests is on the rise. Critics point to a series of procedural irregularities, including missing ballots, restricted access for scrutineers, and recounts that seem to favor one particular party. These issues have sparked calls for comprehensive electoral reform, including the implementation of mandatory recounts in ridings with narrow margins, enhanced ballot audit procedures, and greater transparency in the vote counting process. Premier Smith's call for these by-elections is seen as a strategic move to challenge what many perceive as a failing federal electoral system. Each of the ridings involved carries unique political significance. For instance, Edmonton-Strathcona, previously represented by Rachel Notley, is now contested by new NDP leader Naheed Nenshi. Critics argue that Nenshi lacks local roots and may not resonate with the working-class demographic that dominates the riding, raising questions about his viability as a candidate. Edmonton-Ellerslie, on the other hand, was vacated by former NDP MLA Rod Loyola, who left to pursue opportunities at the federal level. This departure has led some to view it as indicative of a troubling trend in Canadian politics, where local representation is often sacrificed for broader national ambitions. This shift has intensified debates around the importance of local leadership and accountability in a political landscape increasingly dominated by career politicians. In the rural riding of Olds-Didsbury-Three Hills, the political dynamics are markedly different. This seat, a bastion of conservative support, was vacated by Nathan Cooper, who transitioned to become Alberta's representative in Washington, D.C. Running for this seat is Cam Davies, leader of the Alberta Republican Party, who is advocating for provincial sovereignty, decentralization, and direct democracy. His platform resonates with a growing desire among voters for greater independence from federal oversight, reflecting a significant shift in the political narrative. The upcoming by-elections are being framed as a crucial test of whether Canadian voters will rise against the perceived overreach of the federal government and the decay of established political institutions. As public dissatisfaction mounts, both provincial leaders like Smith and federal opposition figures are calling for reforms aimed at restoring electoral integrity. The stakes are high, as these elections could signal a pivotal shift in Canadian politics. At the national level, concerns about the legitimacy of elections are becoming increasingly pronounced. Citizens are questioning whether Canada's current electoral framework genuinely reflects their will, or if it has become susceptible to institutional errors and bureaucratic hurdles. Critics argue for the need for real democratic reform to restore public confidence, advocating for enhanced auditing practices and more rigorous oversight of the vote tabulation process. The outcomes of these Alberta by-elections could have far-reaching implications for the political landscape of Canada. On one hand, they might serve as a clear signal of discontent with federal politics. On the other, they could mark the beginning of a broader movement toward provincial assertion and independence. Political analysts are closely monitoring these races, as they may reveal whether voters are prepared to demand substantial changes or whether they will continue to support the status quo. The political discourse surrounding these by-elections is also influenced by figures like Mark Carney, the new leader of the Liberal Party and Prime Minister. Carney's leadership has been scrutinized amid these rising tensions, as citizens grapple with the challenges of governance and representation. His response to the current political crisis will play a pivotal role in shaping public perception and could either alleviate or exacerbate the existing turmoil. The controversy over electoral fairness has also galvanized grassroots movements across the country, with citizens mobilizing to advocate for reforms that address their concerns. As the by-elections approach, these movements are likely to gain momentum, pushing for changes that resonate with the electorate's desire for transparency and accountability in governance. Voter engagement is at an all-time high as individuals seek to make their voices heard in a system that they feel has let them down. Both the provincial and federal governments are acutely aware that the results of these by-elections could serve as a referendum on their current policies and practices. As candidates gear up for a fierce campaign, the political landscape is evolving rapidly, with each party striving to present a vision that aligns with voter priorities. The stakes are not just about winning seats, they are about redefining the relationship between citizens and their government in a time of uncertainty. In conclusion, the June 23rd by-elections in Alberta are much more than local races. They encapsulate broader concerns about electoral integrity, representation, and the future of Canadian democracy. The interplay of local and national issues, the influence of leadership figures like Danielle Smith and Carney, and the mounting call for reform all contribute to a complex political narrative that will shape the country's trajectory in the coming years. As voters prepare to head to the polls, the outcome of these elections could very well determine the direction of Canadian politics for the foreseeable future.